I'm here at the K Gallery in Calgary. My good friend Kevin Kaneshiro, he's a master framer here in town and he's got a great little gallery. And I'm part of a group show. What is happening in Calgary right now is the Exposure Photography Festival, and all across the city, photography has taken over galleries. And this week, I'm gonna talk to some gallery owners about the work they have and what it takes to get into a gallery, and some photographers about the work they've created. And I have one piece in this group show as well. And my piece is about how big media was taking over the news, and now we're only getting news from a few sources. And I was really interested about who was operating behind those little windows as dusk was setting and the windows were lit up. And I photographed that on a Hasselblad with a homemade lens that I used that you pushed and pulled to focus, but you could tilt it and then things could go out of focus, so you could only get one frame. And I have a friend, his name is Bryce Meyer, and he has a great piece that I want to show you that kind of goes with my piece. This is my friend Bryce's piece, and I find it really interesting. He photographed this beautiful sunset over the ocean, but then there's this jumbled electronic image in the middle. And I asked him what this was all about, and he said, it's all about not being able to get off your device and your brain not being able to disconnect from the electronic world when you got these beautiful scenes in there. So I thought that was quite interesting, and it kind of goes with my piece with the people that are feeding us this news, and it goes perfectly.
Mitch Kern is a Calgary-based artist. He teaches up at the University of Arts, but he was born in New York and raised in LA, now living in Calgary. He is a man who was raised in the Jewish faith, but is married to a Christian woman. So he is an artist who's very familiar with duality and hybridity, and you're seeing that in his art practice. So on the photographs that you see here, he is going out into neighborhoods dressed as a half animal, half person, and dealing with elements of community, of feeling like you don't quite belong, but you're trying to connect with people, nature and humanity, isolation and belonging. David Burdani is a very accomplished Canadian photographer. He started his career off as an architect. He has his master's in architecture from the University of Manitoba. He is an artist who is deeply interested in how humans use spaces, create community, and the structures that we build. So his photographs in this series are new works from a series called 10 Cities, and he's just exploring exactly that, communities. I'm interested in artists. So whatever is in their toolbox, that's great. Whatever they're using to create their individual statement about what they're seeing in the world today, that conversation with me, that is of interest to me. Less the medium, more what they're saying. So when photographers come to me, I see a lot of the same sort of things, black and white of a field with a fence post and a piece of garbage hanging off. Like, I want something fresh, I want something different. I want people to push the medium and say something either political or social or personal about it.
Driving home one day, I literally look over to the left and I see the horses up by the windmill, but the moon was still hanging in the sky. Stopped over, got off a couple of frames, and before the horses moved around and spoiled the composition that you see here. Square photography came to me quite naturally for a variety of reasons. One, I picked up a square format Rollie 50 years ago and started shooting that, and of course shooting black and white film, and that's kind of a progression on here. But one of the things that works with black and white square for me, especially the square, is the ability to have such a high frame. Unless I shot vertical, I could never include enough sky, whereas when a square format, it gives me a lot of square space. Imagine that cut as a normal landscape would have nothing like the same impact, and that is really the case for all my images. I love to shoot black and white because I tend to see things in black and white. As I'm driving along, as I see something, my first thought is the composition, it's the light on it. Usually the light is probably the biggest factor, but I tend to see that in the black and white format. When I shot anything in color, it never has the same impact to me. Yeah, I'm not sure if that came about from being a professional once upon a time where I was carrying literally cases of gear all the time, and for my own work I used to typically go out with a Leica over my shoulder and one 35mm lens, so as basic as you get. And nowadays I still pretty much usually only use one camera. It is a small zoom, admittedly, but that is a relatively new occurrence. Until the last 2 years I only ever used one or maybe two bodies with 1 or 2 prime lenses. And I tend to find myself more creative that way. I find if I have a lot of gear, I spend so much time trying to get that perfect composition and changing lenses and zooming in and out, as opposed to just seeing what I've got, getting my mind into that vision of the equipment I have with me. And I find that my images themselves suffer. I think we're bombarded with images all day long. I look through Instagram and I'll look through 1,000 images, but the impact they have is literally a second, if that. To me, the image doesn't become a photograph until it is on paper. When I'm standing there holding it or looking at it I immediately have a connection. If I like the image, obviously if I don't, then it's garbage in, garbage out. But if I like the image, it captivates me and hopefully holds me for a little longer and allows me to actually feel it and hopefully get some emotion from it. I'm Julian Ferreira. The show is called My Life Through the Lens, and it's showing at Seaspace Gallery in Guadeloupe.
This is a show by Calgary artist Hutch Hutcherson, and Hutch has a long-standing interest in circular presentations of photography. His father, many years ago, made him a motor for a tripod that spins around in a circle. And he's done other things about taking pictures moving around in a circle. And this is just another iteration of this idea of circles. So this show is about images from his garden, everyday images from his garden. For instance, the piece here is called a rosehip, and it's a branch from a rosehip plant that he has in his garden. How the photographs are made is that he calls it a copy camera, but a 4x5 camera that's hooked up to a turntable and it's synced. So he puts the object on the turntable. As the turntable spins, the scan begins, and in about a 20-minute period, there's a complete 360 revolution, and the scan is finished. The output of that is a long horizontal. And through software and digital magic, he puts that into a circle. And this process is open to chance and a lot of interesting effects. Sometimes it doesn't work, and it's very precise. He has the objects lamped very well, and he can adjust the height by a couple of millimeters, and if he doesn't like it, he has to wait till the scan is done to see if it worked. If it doesn't work, he does it again and he adjusts the height. So it's very technical, particularly if it's like 2 millimeters. So that's how they're made. Well, I think like almost any show, a great looking image, an engaging object, an engaging image in the sense that it's captures your attention, you want to look at it, it may be a bit of a mystery, it has prolonged interest. Those are the qualities that I think are in good artworks, and we try and aspire to have those objects like that here.
So the photograph that we're looking at here, this is Teatro. It's a restaurant downtown, but it has a long history in Calgary. It used to be the Dominion Bank, and it's the building is owned by Vendome, which they also have a cafe over in Bridgeland as well. And this building is part of a broader project that I did with BOMA back in 2011. We created a book on historic Calgary commercial realty, and this was one of the images that they gave me to shoot. When I met with them initially, they gave me 73 different building facades that they wanted to shoot, and then gave me carte blanche to approach it the way I wanted from an artistic point of view. So in terms of shooting in black and white versus color, I consider myself to be a black and white photographer, always have been. For me, this is what it's all about. It's about black and white is about composition and light, and if you have, sometimes color can carry a weak image. I feel that if one of the elements is not working in black and white, it becomes obvious pretty quickly, and I love the challenge. Okay, so as a photographer documenting space, documenting architecture, I don't really think about it in terms of the historic perspective. That's almost coincidental. To me, I love shooting architecture for what it is. The idea of taking the mundane and through good composition, good printing, making it into an artful object. And the historic component is almost coincidental. It comes after the fact. But I mean, here we are 15 years later. This work has become historic from the photographic point of view. When I was shooting the work, it was historic because some of these buildings were slated for demolition, knew they weren't going to last. There are about 3 images in the show of buildings that no longer exist. So there's that historic perspective, and then there's the historic perspective of the photographs themselves, what they represent here and now.
And these 2 photographs I have in this show called Then and Now. It's 30 years of photography presented by the Camera Store and presented by Sony. And I'm in this show, it's a group exhibition with some of my good friends, Mike Drew right here, George Weber, Steve Spear, Jeff Bright. There's a whole bunch of photographers here that have a couple photographs from 30 years apart. And my photograph here of the bull rider getting tossed up in the air was shot down in southern Alberta, this small town rodeo. And if you look, I shot this with a Leica M6 and Kodachrome 64 film. So this is the definitive, decisive moment. One shot, you crank the film, and then you got another one. The new photo shot last year in 2005 was what rodeo has become. These big Las Vegas style events with thousands of people surrounding the bull riders. And I photographed that with my Sony A1, a 70-200 millimeter lens, and I wanted to create this a little bit more dynamic scene where it has become this show. So that's what I was trying to show. But it's crazy to think that 30 years have gone by and I'm still shooting bull ridings, I'm still on the prairies, and I'm still documenting cowboy culture. And there's even a picture of me from 30 years ago that a friend of mine, Tracy Jenkins, shot, and then a photograph of me in my artist residency last year that my good friend Julian Ferreira shot. The Exposure Festival of Photography goes on till February 28th in Calgary. But if you're from out of town and you come here, come to one of these galleries anytime. Calgary has a vibrant art scene happening. And thanks very much, as always, for watching. See you next time. Cheers.